Warning: do not attempt to perform any challenge or develop any mindset you are about to see. Viewer discretion is advised.
Ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to be doing David Goggins 4 miles every 4 hours for 48 hours. So total, we're going to be running 48 miles. Now, I will have a schedule where I work 24 hours on, 48 hours off. So I got off at 7 a.m. this morning and I'll be back on at 7 a.m. in 48 hours. So it's really the perfect amount of time to do this challenge. So I'll show you the start time and then I'll record everything in a Runkeeper app where I can show you and plug into this video. So right now we have 8:27 a.m. and my start time technically, I'm just going to make 7 a.m. That's not going to help me at all. That's just going to give me a less, after this first 4 miles, I'll have less of a rest. But the whole point of that is that I only have 48 hours off before I start working again. So 7 a.m. to 7 a.m. in 48 hours will be my time I'm going. So I've never ran 48 miles in 2 days, so we'll see how it goes. And right now I have my Rich Piana Love It Kill It hoodie on, and that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna love it and we're gonna kill this challenge. So keep watching. There we go. So we just finished up our first 4 miles, and oh, there it's doing. Okay, so first 4 miles. Let me take this off. 4 miles in 38 minutes and 3 seconds. Average was 9 minutes and 29 seconds per mile. See, my phone's about to die, so I need to get that charged up. And if you heard that beeping, it's the tripod holding my phone. So I didn't talk about in the beginning what my thoughts are on this challenge, mostly because I just decided to do it about 10 minutes before I recorded that intro video. And a lot of these challenges I do, I've thought of them before and I know I want to do them at some point, but I don't really prepare for them in a way where I say, hey, next week I'm going to do this challenge, or next month. Usually it's 10 minutes before. I have enough time to throw whatever clothes on I need and grab my phone or whatever it is to record. And this one, I just got off work, haven't had anything to eat or drink yet. Didn't warm up. I don't recommend any of that. I'm just sharing my experience. And I hopped into the first 4 miles. Halfway through, I did have to use the bathroom, but I don't stop. And that's my goal with all of these 4 miles I do. Once I start, I don't want to walk. I don't want to stop. If I slow down, that's perfectly acceptable. I'd rather slow down and keep moving than to stop, because for me, it's a mental challenge. It's definitely going to be physical, but I think anyone could get through walking these 4 miles, and that's why I want to make sure I keep running, jogging, whatever it is. And so that's why I wasn't stopping. And also, I was really feeling it from the ankles up to the knees. Also, because what's today? Today is Saturday morning, and so it was just a week ago today, so Sunday, well, not a full week, but today's Saturday morning, well, last Sunday night is when I did the Stairmaster challenge. If anyone saw that, it's the challenge to lose 7 pounds on the Stairmaster, and then I ended up losing more than that within the time I did stairs for 3.3 hours. So that was just less than a week ago. So I'll be curious to see how this challenge goes. I don't think it's going to be too hard. It's definitely going to be hard, but, or I should say, I don't think it's going to be too bad. It's going to be hard, but I don't think it's going to be too bad, meaning unmanageable. I'm always excited, kind of like when I did the Stairmaster challenge, for when it gets to that middle point or later, whenever that grind starts. Because right now, these first few, yeah, do they kind of suck? Yeah, especially sometimes the first ones hurt even worse once your body's getting warmed up. And it's just the pressure from running. But what I enjoy is when you get to 24 hours from now, or 36 or 40 hours. It's definitely a thrill in its own way, and it represents all the times when things get tough in life, and it's just on a very small scale. So in life, you experience all these things over years or months when it gets hard and you push through, and you may not realize everything you've went through until you reflect on what have I done the last few years and everything you had to push through. And this is almost like you're able to view the toughness of life within a few hours or a few days, and it makes it that much more obvious. And that's why I enjoy it, because whether it's the Stairmaster one that took 3.3 hours, you're experiencing the range of emotions you have to accomplish something in 3 hours, and there's something unique about that to go through. Let me see what the weather is. I underestimated or overestimated the temperature. Weather. I did not check the weather before. I don't know if you can see this. But it says 47 degrees, feels like 43. I did not check the weather, so that's my fault. But I threw on some thick shorts and a hoodie, and definitely was not smart because I was sweating profusely. And considering I've already lost a bunch of weight from last week's Stairmaster challenge, and I haven't had anything to eat or drink this morning, I did not need to lose that weight, extra weight, this early in the challenge. This thing is soaked. Yeah, that's wet. So first 4 miles down, I'm not going to record me running everyone. I may do some snapshots here and there, little short clips, but mostly because it will just show me running. I will show them probably later on as it gets tougher, so you can see me struggle. Although if you saw this first one, you may think I'm struggling. But first one down, and we'll get ready for the next. And I gotta get my phones charged up, because like I said, I wasn't joking when I did not plan on doing this or prepare for it. All of my electronics, it's really just the one recording and the one I'm using for tracking, they're about to die. And my headphones, everything. So, not that headphones are a big deal, but it's nice. Whoa. Okay. We got our second round of 4 miles in. So we're at 8 miles total. If you saw, that one was 4.25 miles. Not necessarily intentional, but just the way it ended up coming back went a little longer. So we got 4.25 miles. Our time was 38 minutes even. Kind of suspicious. We averaged 8 minutes and 57 seconds per mile. And this round started at 11 a.m. So our next one will not be until 3 p.m. And it's 11:45 right now. It wasn't too bad. Physically, I said with the first video, sometimes the first round is the worst. When you're starting to feel that pressure, your body will adapt. It's going to overcome it. So this go around, it wasn't as painful from the knees down to the ankles, that whole area, from the constant running. So that's a plus. The downside is mentally, running sucks. At least I do not necessarily enjoy it, even though I do it often. Definitely not every day. I do it relatively often. Um, but it's not because I enjoy it. It's because it's a fun way to push yourself. And that's exactly what it is. I'm 8 miles in, and I have 40 miles to go. So, um, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Okay, so 3 more hours, 3 p.m., and then I'll get that third round in. So far, so good. Let's keep it that way. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Let me just say before I cut it out, I have this, it's called a gimbal. I'm not totally familiar with it, how it works. It does have a way to track me, but like you see me trying to turn it off now, that's a problem because it keeps following me. So if I go to turn it off and it's right up in my face, that's why. Oh. Wow. Okay. So we just finished our third round, which means we're 12 miles in. This round was 4.17 miles in 36 minutes and 35 seconds. Average 8:46 minutes per mile. My right calf, I thought was going to cramp up. I was starting to feel it on the backside around mile 3. Granted, what I've eaten today, which you'll see, or you have seen, is 1 bowl of cereal and then 1 cup or boot full of water. So, there, I got the tracker going again. Okay. So I'll definitely get some water, get something to eat within this meal, or within this break. And yeah, mile 12 out of 48. I still have a while to go. I got things I got to get done in between these breaks, and It's almost worse that you can't chip away at the 48 miles sooner, because having to just go this long, meaning for 48 hours, it's going to be a mind game, because it just already feels like a long time. And it's already almost been all day long. It's 3:43 p.m. So I can't imagine by tomorrow at 3:43 p.m. It just feels like this challenge is going to drag on. Still sweating each time I start off, pretty cool. And by the end, I am sweaty. Oh. I did throw a wife beater on to help absorb some of the sweat, and it is soaked. That's one thing too about this challenge, is that I don't want to change clothes every single time I run 4 miles. But on the other hand, I'm going to be wet for a while. Like, I feel like I get so sweaty, and then by the time my body cools down, I get a little break, and then it's time to go again. So that's one thing about this challenge so far, is the constant sweat and wetness. Okay, so 3 rounds down, 12 miles in. We'll get a little break, a little rest, a little food and water, and then we'll be on round 4. We're just getting our 4th round started, so mile 13. We'll be done with 16 by the time we're done. And it's raining. It's kind of cold, kind of tired, but we're going to get it. Let's go. Oh. Oh. That feels nice to sit down. Oh. I want to start with chafing. I think it's these shorts. I've never ran in this thick style of shorts, but I'm chafing bad on the inner thighs, and I never shave. So I'm guessing it's these shorts. Maybe I'll change them out. Maybe I'll keep going. But man, this round was mentally taxing. I just feel like the miles were dragging on. And also, as you saw, it was raining and it's dark. And I just finished my 16th mile. So I think the combination of all of that was starting to get to my head. Because not only do you not want to run at night, now you add in the rain, and then you add in your shoes and socks are soaked, and you're soaked because you're sweating and you're getting rained on, and you're not even halfway done. That's where the mind games start coming in. Overall, physically, I'm still feeling fair. I don't think I'm in bad shape with that. As far as my stomach, I felt like a light cramp starting to come on, probably because I ate 2 PB&Js, 2 pieces of sushi, a glass of milk, and a glass of water. Probably not the best combo. Oh. Oh, I did get a video of it. Okay. I can add this video in. And I did have some jelly juice. Meaning after I had the PB&Js, I mixed up the remaining jelly, the scraps, with some water and drank that for some extra sugar. Overall, not too bad. Let me give the rundown. So 4.02 miles, 33 minutes and 43 seconds, averaging 8 minutes and 23 seconds. I'm liking that average. That's good. It is 7:40 p.m. and I'll be back at 11 p.m. I'm just absolutely soaked. I don't know if you'll be able to tell, but like even pulling that off, it's wet. Okay, so until 11 p.m. Yeah. Uh, we did it. Another round down. So this last one I started at 8 p.m. Oh. Let me tell you, it was still wet. I was honest. I was honestly gonna switch hoodies, switch my shirt, maybe even switch shoes. But it was still raining out. And it was still wet. So I just threw my wet stuff back on because there was no point if I would have took my new stuff out, it would have got soaked. I did change shorts and that helped tremendously. Like I said, I've ran a lot of miles, never had a problem with chafing on my legs. I used that thick pair of shorts and my legs were getting tore up on the inside. I switched back to this light material. Feels fine. So we did 4.0 miles in 35 minutes and 18 seconds, averaged 8:49 minutes per mile. And let me just say, I'm impressed with myself for keeping that about 9-minute pace. It's been under even that last time, but that's good. So, oh, waking up for this 11 p.m., I did take a nap before, and it was, I will say, tough getting out of bed. Well, I was sleeping on the couch. It was tough to get up to do these 4 miles. And it's like the last time. It's rainy, it's cold, you're wet, wet shoes, running in puddles, and you got to run. You're getting up to run. That's tough. But I did it. And let me say, the first mile for this challenge, we'll see how it changes, but the first mile has been the toughest mentally, and it just drags on. And then the second mile, to get to that halfway point from 1 mile to 2 miles, I'm just pushing to meet that halfway mark. So it's like the first mile drags, second mile, I have an objective, and then the second half, third and fourth mile, I'm just telling myself, make it back home. So whatever path I went on, the way back home, I just trace it all the way back. But that first mile, man, that's tough. So how many miles are we in total? So I've done 7, 11, 3, 7, 11. So we're 20 miles in. So my next one will be at 3 a.m. And after that one will be at 24, halfway. So 20 miles in. Just take another nap and we'll be back at 3 a.m.
It's 3 a.m. No one's out here, but we're getting our next round of miles in. And after this, we'll be done with 24 miles. Officially halfway. Let's get it. Oh.
Well, okay. Well, I finally switched hoodies because it was supposed to have stopped raining, but it was still sprinkling. Truthfully, on the way back, it felt good because I need to drink some more water because I'm getting hot and overheating. But that cool mist on my face was really cooling me down and it was making me thirsty. We ended up doing another 4 miles, 4.01. Time was 38 minutes, 9 seconds, and averaged 9 minutes and 31 seconds per mile. And I was very happy with keeping that average of 9 minutes, more or less, not breaking that 10-minute per mile yet, because I've done 24 miles now, and to keep that pace with the nines makes me very happy. And this last one, I really had to push for it because I said previously that the first mile was the hardest. Well, this one, that third mile was super hard too. Like, I wanted to stop. It felt like it drug on for so long, even before I hit the halfway mark of 2 miles. And then I had to go all the way back. But we kept pushing, and it's so dark out. Also, I was going to change a song, so that did not help. But I almost fell. Like, I banged my foot so hard on one of these big cracks. And for me, when I get in a pace and something like that happens, I slow down drastically, or my body wants to. It wants to slow down, and probably because it wants to stop. But that was within my last mile, and I needed to keep that average of 9 minute or under 10-minute pace just for my own personal goal. So I had to kick it back in gear and get going, and I did, but that almost got me. So we're halfway done with the miles. The time, there's a few more hours until the halfway mark, but everything I did, just do it one more time, and then we'll be done. I switched hoodies, put a long sleeve shirt underneath to wick away some of that sweat, and I am still soaked. Whatever I wear, I get soaked. Wow. If you notice, I'm already stripped down. I I am hot and sweaty and wet. It's still wet outside. Oh, man. This was definitely the hardest of the 4 miles, and it's not a good sign because this is the first round on this back half of the 24 or of the 48. So this kicked off my first 4 miles of my last 24 miles I have to run, and I wanted to stop at many points during this. And I would still keep walking, but I wanted to walk. I wanted to stop for a second. And in the beginning, I said I couldn't wait for it to get to this point where it gets tough and you start to question what you're doing and why you're doing it. And every step you have to think about before you make it. And although I said I couldn't wait for this time to come, it's not because I don't want you to have a misconception that I'm really good at this or I really enjoy it. Like I'm just going to kick butt at this part, because that's not true. But this is the part that I need to work on. This is the part where you push to new limits and you show yourself what you're capable of. So I just wanted to say that. I don't want you thinking I'm great at this. It's hard, and I think that's a good point to remember with your own life. Sometimes I look at other people and you may want to do what they're doing, or you may think it looks easy for them or that it is easy for them. But just remember, everyone pushes themselves in their own ways. And no matter what level you're at, anytime you're pushing to new limits, you have to push past your old ones. Okay, enough talk. That was 4 miles, 46 minutes, pace 11 minutes and 30 seconds. I was slowing down the pace a little bit for this back half, for these next whole 24 hours, because now I just want to make it through it. Also, I'm not going to be listening to music for this next 24 hours when I'm running. I did keep the headphones on this morning just as earmuffs, and so I could hear the miles when it tells me how many miles I'm at, but no music for these next runs. Also, I'm probably going to take a cold shower because I need it. We are officially 32 miles in. And just like always, I am sweating bad. Sweating to the point where it just pours in your eyes and burns. We'll get a little fit check. 32 miles in, almost 32 hours. So this was 4.0 miles, 36 minutes, 27 seconds, 9 minutes and 6 seconds per mile average. And let me just say, this one felt like the easiest 4 miles out of every one I've done so far. all around. Which is a good lesson because the last one I just did was the hardest one I had done for this whole challenge. And I'm not saying it was easy. I'm not saying it was easy by any means, but from mile 1, 2, 3, and 4, all of those felt consistently decent. Whereas usually 1 will feel the worst, 2 and 3 will feel good, and then 4 will be a mental block. Well, this one all around mentally wasn't too bad, and physically wasn't too bad. Now, is that a lesson to push through when times seem so tough, like you can't keep going? Because on that last one, I wanted to walk and stop. Push through that, and you'll get to the other side. And this one was a lot easier. Or do you look at it as a comparison where that last one was so hard for me that this one probably was really hard, but after doing something even harder, it made this feel easier? Where when I was doing it 24 hours ago, my first times doing it felt hard. So both of those are good lessons because I do believe, 1, when you push through something, you're going to get to the other side and it's going to be better. And 2, when you push yourself to extreme limits now in your everyday life, something that may have seemed hard before will be easier in comparison to what you've done. Okay, I gotta go get some lunch. Another point, real quick, too, is before this one, I did take a cold ice shower. And I do believe cold showers give me a second life anytime I do them. So when all else fails and your body's feeling like it wants to give up, hop in an ice bath or just crank the shower all the way cold. And that works wonders for me. Okay, now time for lunch.
We're halfway there. Got another 2 miles before we get back. Currently, we're at 34 miles total out of 48. So we got 14 to go. Hey, whatever you got going on, get after it today. Just keep pushing. I've wanted to stop at many points, either slowing down, walking, or flat out not doing it. But once you get going, stay disciplined and just keep pushing through. Have faith, you're gonna get through it and you'll get to the other side. You got it. We're 34 miles in. It ain't gonna feel good. It ain't gonna feel nice. You're not gonna wanna keep going. And that's exactly why you need to keep pushing. I'm gonna keep going. I got 14 more miles to go. And I wanna see you go after whatever you got going on. Get it.
Another 4 miles down. And yes, I'm still using these as earmuffs. Even though, as you can see, I am super sweaty. So we did the 4 miles in 39 minutes and 27 seconds, averaging 9 minutes and 52 seconds per mile. Oh, I don't know what's up with this tripod. Sometimes it works very well and sometimes it doesn't. So it's flopping all over the place, beeping. Sometimes old school is better. Why is it beeping? I have no idea. I'm gonna try this one more time. I'm gonna try that one more time. If not, we're just gonna cut it. I don't really have much to say. It's a steady grind. I don't want to get too confident because I do have 3 more rounds to go. So we're at what? 28, 32, 36. We're at 36 miles. So 3 more rounds, that'll put me at 40, 44, and then 48. So only 3 more rounds out of all that I've done so far, but still 3 more rounds, a lot can happen. So I'm glad my body's holding up. Gonna get some more Gatorade, some water, see what else. But if not, my next run is at 7 p.m. Woo! We are officially 40 miles in, which means we only have 8 miles to go, which is 2 more rounds of 4 miles. Let me tell you what, it feels amazing to see the finish line. And I'm not getting too confident because I still have 8 miles to go. It may not seem like a lot in comparison to have already gone 40 miles, but a lot can happen in 8 miles. So our next round will not be until 11 p.m. and the last one will be at 3 a.m. Fortunately, the runs have been feeling good. It just, I don't know the best way to describe it other than stale. It's like nothing excruciating, nothing new is going on. It's just the same old running and the mind games of I'm at mile 1, mile 2. Okay, now work your way back after that halfway point, mile 3 and 4 to get back. I don't know if I had mentioned in the beginning about getting chafing on the inside of my legs from those other pairs of shorts I wore, which I'd never worn before, and I'd never chafed before. And luckily that pain's gone away for the most part. But after I switched back, it stopped it from getting worse, but the damage was already done. So ever since the mile 1 of this whole challenge, I've had this rash all along the underside. I wouldn't even call it a rash. It's chafing. This just an abrasion to both sides of my thigh and that whole underside area. And those shorts I wore were thicker, and I was doing it to stay warmer because it is getting cold out. But what I found is that was just tearing my skin up. So these shorts have been great ever since I switched to them. All the shorts I normally wear. But like I said, the damage was already done. So I've been running with that for the last 40 miles. But I'm fortunate. Everything's going great. This round we did 4.01 miles. The time was 40 minutes and 31 seconds, averaging 10 minutes and 7 seconds per mile. And yeah, I'm excited to only have 2 more left. What time is it? It's 7:48, so we'll get the next one going at 11. Yeah, let's get it.
Oh. We are officially 44 miles into this challenge, which means we only have one more round. 4 more miles and we're done. I want to say getting up off the couch, my body was tight, and this first mile may have been the hardest. It's a toss up between the one I did a few rounds ago that I said was the hardest. This first mile was pretty tough. And the second started to get better, and the third started to get worse again, and then the fourth started to get a lot smoother. The last mile of this one was actually the best. But that first one, man, I was cold and tight, wanted to move slow, and I pushed through it though. I pushed through that first mile to try and pick up the pace, but it still ended up slowing down. But yeah, that second and third one, it was rough too. But we got through it. I'm really thirsty, sweaty. I need to get some more Gatorade, water, see what else I can do. And then the next one is going to be at 3 a.m. and it's going to be the last one. That's awesome. We're 2 miles in and only 2 more miles to go for this whole challenge. I gotta keep pushing. I felt the cramp coming. My legs, feet are feeling it. But the last 2 miles out of this whole challenge, let's get it. We're closing in. I'm 47 miles in and only 1 more mile left to go. And we're not stopping. We ain't slowing down. We've come this far and we're gonna get it. Let's go. Let's get it. Oh, oh, oh. And we're back. We're back almost 2 days later, 48 miles later, and I can officially say I'm done with this challenge. I work 24-hour shifts. So 2 days ago, I got off at 7 a.m. And ever since then, I've been running 4 miles every 4 hours for the last 48 hours. And that's the challenge. And now it's almost 4 a.m. after my very last 4-mile run. And I'll be back to work starting at 7 a.m.
So I'll talk a little bit about my experience with this challenge. Going into it, I knew it was going to be tough. I knew a lot of it was going to be mental. Physically, it is tough. That's a lot of miles. But with this, it drug on when you're doing it for 2 whole days, every 4 hours, on the dot, 4 hours, 4 miles, 4 hours, 4 miles. It just drags on. The first day, in its own way, seemed harder than the second day. And it's not that the second day was any easier by any means. There was something about the first day, your body just getting into the groove of running and knowing that each 4 miles you do, it doesn't matter how many times you did it that day, you still have a whole another day of doing it. So something about that first day drug on, especially overnights. It was rough, and there were a lot of times I did not want to get up and keep going. I talked about the chafing I had in the very beginning because I tried to put on a thicker pair of shorts to stay warm. Was not a good idea. At the time, I'd never chafed before, ever. But also I've never worn those shorts. So I switched back to a regular pair of basketball shorts and perfectly fine. There was never really any injuries or real concerns when I'm running throughout this challenge. There's the ankles, feeling the pressure. There's the knees feeling the pressure. There's the calves, not locking up, but you can feel them tensing up. There's the lower back getting tight. So I don't want to make it out to seem like it was a piece of cake and I felt great, because I did not for any of the 4 mile runs. But there was nothing debilitating, which I'm very thankful for. What else? The meals. You'll get to see everything I ate and drank for this whole challenge. May not be the best, but it worked. I may not have prepared the best, but I did it, right? It doesn't matter what day it is. If it's Tuesday, Thursday, middle of the night, first thing in the morning, if you're prepared or not, you show up and get it done. And that's what I push myself to do. What definitely helped me is as I got later in the challenge, I did 2 miles one way and 2 miles back. That helps me because when I didn't want to have to think about how I'm calculating getting back without going over the 4 miles, because I don't want to be running 5 miles every time, I kept going until I hit 2 miles. And then from there, I just worked the same way back. And that made it more dummy proof for me. And I liked that because I didn't want to have to think about anything else other than run 2 miles somewhere, wherever that may be, and then run 2 miles back. As far as like running in the night, saw quite a bit of rabbits, cats. I did see 2 black cats. One was the first day and one of the first runs, and the second was this last run coming back. The first night, the town was more lively with people out, at least for the 11 p.m. run or the night ones. No one at 3 a.m. But this last night, it wasn't really lively out, but then there was just some random people riding their bikes and just looking around. So second night was definitely sketchier with some of the crowd that was out, but it's understandable when you're out at almost 12 a.m. and 3 a.m. I don't really know who's out at that time. What else? Yeah, it was a good challenge, and challenges like these, especially for that long, of a time. It's really gonna get you to think about yourself and to look into certain things, whatever you may be thinking about, because you're gonna be thinking 48 hours later why you're doing it, what you're doing, and then just random things you're gonna be thinking about because you have a lot of time on your hand. One thing I do is pray to Jesus throughout all these rounds, because if not, I probably wouldn't. Could you get through it? Yeah, but to me, it's the meaningful suffering of how I'm gonna push through this. Because for me, man, the 4 miles every 4 hours, that was not fun at all. So it brings me back to that. If anyone's watched any of my other videos, I really appreciate Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. And it's really big on finding meaning in your suffering. Because everyone suffers in their own ways in life, no matter how small or big of a scale that may be, right? But if you find a meaning in that suffering, it's going to be a lot better outlook on life. And that's a book I'd recommend. Following Jesus, accepting Jesus as your Lord and Savior, right? Things of that nature where you're trying to do something more than yourself, find something good and choose to have faith and believe in it, and all that suffering you're going through, find a meaning in it. So that's my spiel on this whole thing. It was a good challenge. I'm glad I did it. It's something I thought about doing for a while, and fortunately I don't feel too bad. I will say for this last one, pretty much every one, I feel so locked up when I start that first mile, and you just gotta drive through it. Whatever you're doing in life, it may feel tough and sluggish at first, whether you're saving money, trying to make gains, working out, or you're applying to new jobs. It may seem really slow in the beginning, like you have a lot of resistance, and all of a sudden you're gonna break through that wall, and it's that snowball effect, right? Everything compounds and you're gonna be flying. In this case, I wasn't really flying, right? I was still super slow, but my point is, each time I just wanted to stop because it hurt and it's so slow. I don't think I can push harder, but I just keep pushing and pushing and pushing. And you push past that half mile or first mile, and you get that second rush and you plow through the rest. No matter how slow that plow's moving, right? Because the snow's pretty deep, meaning it sucks. But, oh wow. 48 miles in 48 hours. If you ever feel like doing it, just try it. No joke. It may be 10 p.m., maybe 7 a.m. But if you've got 48 hours from the time you think about starting it, then do it. It's that easy and that hard.